Hello Internets, this is BoneCarlos coming to you live from the Shattered Temple, and already Apathy is doing his binumeral coding. That right there is actually a cheat code, and it makes all your units invincible. So just throwing it out there, Apathy is a hacker, is a cheater, and he should be punished because of it. No, I'm kidding. Those are just random numbers he's typing into the chat to be himself, give himself a little bit of funs and giggles. But anyways, speaking of the players, Apathy does spawn in about the 2 o'clock position as the blue Terran, and in the 3 o'clock position we see Scrambled spawning as the red Zerg. So close positions by air. I hope to see a bunch of early drops, maybe some Mutalisk Harass, or Overlord Harass, or a Nidus Worm Harass, or quite possibly a Drone Harass. I don't know. I just love harassment. And no, not in real life, because that's bad, and you could get in trouble for it. But in the game, it is A-OK. And yeah, so just Apathy doing the regular thing. He's going to go ahead and wall off, while Scrambled is speaking in the native tongue of his people, which is maybe speaking drone. Nah, whatever. Right now he's just droning up quite heavily. Not sure exactly what he's going to do quite yet. It's about time to put down that spawning pool in about, I would say about now, while over in Apathy's base he is building his SCV. No scouting done by either player quite yet, more than likely because this Overlord is spotted, so Apathy knows exactly where Scrambled is. But at the same time, I don't know. Up against Terran, I always like to just send off a probe to attack this building SCV. Hell, sometimes I even send 2 to deal with the probe, the SCV pull-off, to be able to defend this building, and it generally catches Terran players off guard. Sometimes they pull 2-3 SCVs off the line, and that just helps me in the early game. But instead, Scramble decides to just have him patrol the front of the base. Not sure exactly what that's all about. He's not going to be able to catch any kind of SCV trying to scout, so maybe trying to block a wall off? I don't know if anyone out there can know exactly what Scrambled is doing and why he's doing it, because right now he just did a little bit of a shifty tango move and let the SCV ride in. But other than that, we see Scrambled has his extractor up, but he's taunting the SCV. But the SCV wants no part of that. Apathy isn't going to fall for it, and this extractor, it looks like the timing is right. He might have 100 gas by the time this spawning pool pops, but I doubt it. Looking at the timing, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. He's only going to have about 40, 50 mineral gas, and actually 30. So I was way off. What do I know? And a single SCV is actually coming down with a couple more, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a push. And these drones were actually swapped at the transferred at the exact right time, and it looks like Apathy was trying to gear up for some sort of bunker push, but the transfer was exactly perfect for Scramble. He takes down both of those SCVs, pushes forward. Looks like there's a nice surround on that Marine. He micros away the damage. Drones loses a single one, but actually managed to kill off a Marine as well. Micro is being put down by Apathy, and this drone is put down as well, but not before it had a single kill in its aim as well. 2 more Marines actually back up this single one, but the Queen pops at just the right time and manages to repel the rest of these Marines. Right now, wow, I'm not sure if that was by the making by Scrambled or just complete luck. More than likely it was luck, since that transfer was going down, to be able to catch that little bunker push, bunker play quite early. He's actually running away from this small pack of Zerglings, but with a little bit of micro, he actually could have taken them down quite easily. And more Marines are getting produced quite. There's actually a nice stock of Marines. It looks like there is about 9 of them in his hotkey, and more barracks are being put down, but no add-ons quite yet. He is mining gas from both of these refineries, but deciding not to do it quite just yet. It looks like he just started mining it actually, so not sure exactly what his path is going to be, but if it's anything like any TVZ that I have done for the past week or two, it's mostly probably going to come down to Marines, Siege Tanks, while Zerg goes up and gears up for Baneling, Zergling, and Mutalisk. A single Spine Crawler is going to be put up front for defense against another kind of cheeky little push. Does happen, and oh, Apathy forgets to lift up this supply depot, and this Zergling is going to go ahead and get a scout of the entire base of Apathy. Wow, looks like a metabolic boost happened just in time. He metamorphed up some wings, and he looks like he's a little bit tired, so he's going to take a little bit of a rest, but not before he scouts exactly what's going on in Apathy's base. So Scrambled does know what is going on and is just gearing up accordingly, more than likely. Still not taking down a second extractor at his natural, or at his main, and neither at his natural. With he's gonna put down a Baneling list. Pretty obvious, but not. I don't. With one refinery, I don't think he might, or one extractor, I don't think he can support full-on Baneling production. Might want to take that second one very quickly, while at the same time the Evo Chamber has been produced. Let's see if he decides to put up these attack. Clicking it for you, but no, he decides to take a secret third base. Wow, this could actually pay off quite well if Apathy doesn't spot it soon. Looks like it doesn't know of it quite just yet, and that's actually a nice spot to put it in, because normally you don't scout in this general direction up until, I would say, in about 3 or 4 minutes, when he has medevac support. Maybe do a drop from here at the natural third that you want to take, or the gold, or maybe just even at the natural expansion. Since they are close positioning, there is an overload being spotted here in case there is a medevac drop. So like I was saying, it's going to be a very hard expansion to spot, because you just naturally don't go that as a player. Apathy is just walling off his front, just doing the normal thing. Well, it just has pure marine in his base. He does have a tech lab, and he finally does put he's retrieving stim pack, and it looks like combat shield has already been done. Yep, you can see their little shields are up and running, so it gives them that plus 10 health. And this Zergling decided to fight the brave fight and managed to only get off a single nibble on that armor. These Zerglings are going to try to avenge their brother. Push forward, see if they're going to take down they don't take down that Marine, and they decided to head home. They said that they didn't really like that brother. Yeah, they just didn't really like that brother. So they're going to go ahead and let him die. Here, Baneling's being morphed in, but it looks like all of them were morphed into Banelings. Not a single Zergling dude is left. There are a few queens in there, and Apathy doing the right thing by splitting up his Marines to minimize damage being done. And once these Banelings do pop, it looks like there's going to be the end of this push by Apathy. But right now, what he did, what he wanted to do is pretty much succeeded. He wanted Scrambled to use all of these larvae to produce those Zerglings, so he just didn't have enough larvae to drone up. But as of yet, he still doesn't know about this secret base. So how long it remains hidden from Apathy is the question, since if he does continue to do so, it's just gonna be no good for Apathy. I mean, when your opponent has a secret base, that is just a terrible feeling, especially once you watch the replay and just wonder how the hell was he able to pull up all of these units, and then you see that secret base and you're like, oh well, maybe I should just start scouting there more often. And Apathy just preemptively putting down 5 SCVs on a single missile turret. This isn't Warcraft, you can't do that. But he is putting down quite a few missile turrets here to block any sort of Spire play or Mutalist play. There is a macro hatch in Scrambled's main base, but as of right now, nothing too crazy. He's not even building a Spire yet. He's building an infestation pit. So I'm going to go into Hive Tech. More than likely going to hopefully go into Greater Spire to break that trend of Ling Bane Mutalist that I've been seeing a lot in TVZ. Apathy decides to retake that main, and he looks like he's going straight for this third. He does spot these drones, so he knows there's going to be a base there, but for him to take that path, that was quite well. Not sure if it was luck again or intuition, but he does manage to take this, see this hatchery, he knows it's there. These Banelings are going to do massive amounts of damage to these Marines. These Marines are split up, but not before the damage is done, but there is still a nice gaggle of Marines there, about 2 full squads worth. These Lings are going to get onto the field, but not before this hatchery is down. He's going to focus fire stim again to push forward a little bit, and looks like he's going to stutter step away, micro his way to victory. He's going to try to put himself into this corner to block off any sort of attack by these Zerglings, and looks like he is exactly where he is. That's exactly where you want to be if you're Marines up against pure Zerglings, especially since they can't bite up. So quite a bit of damage done by these Marines. 6 kills, 4 kills, 1 kill. But with this steady stream of Zerglings, this new fresh stream of Zerglings, they're not going to be so lucky. One does manage to be taken down before Apathy decides to pick these up and go home. Looks like this SCV is preparing to take this third. He does take it exactly as I call it out. Man, I'm a genius. I love this. A full wall off is done by Apathy, but still no add-on on this barracks. And wow, 1, 2, 3 more barracks are being put down. A reactor still on this starport, so no Raven play. I actually love to see Raven play. Raven play versus Zerg is quite a nuisance. I think it was a while ago. I think it was an ESU buildings where it was about 4, 5, or 6 Ravens put down those Hunter Seeker missiles and just decimated the Zerg forces. It was incredible sight to behold. But right now it looks like, yeah, Marine siege tank siege mode is completed, so nothing too out of the ordinary in this TVZ so far. Double engineering being put down, and level 2 is being researched, so level 1 is done for his infantry forces, but none for, it doesn't look like there's any for his mech, while at the same time Scrambled does put down infestors, so very good for him. There is a bunch of infestors being put down. He decided to forego the Mutalisk play and went infestor, so these fungal growth, if he lands fungal growth, it'll be great for him, but right now these infestors are got out of position. He does manage to get a single fungal growth off the block, most of them, but a single infestor does go down. It looks like one more might go down, and no, 1 HP infestor for the win. Now it's a 2 HP. Scrambled decides to pull it back just so he could regenerate his health in case there is any kind of push right now. Scrambled retakes that third, and more of a drone transfer yet again, while at the same time Apathy decides to push forward. But on creep, you want to be careful. You don't want to be caught off guard, be it especially if there's a surround on your Marines, and Apathy feels that exact same feeling. He doesn't want to get us around, especially not with this small amount of force that he has, especially seeing those infestors. I mean, 1 or 2 infestors is putting down a couple of fungal growths on these Marines, and then if Banelings get into that, wow, massive damage. Game over for those Marines, while Apathy is getting his third base up and running, and poor little Overseer, he does manage to drop. Oh, poor Changeling. Actually looks like those aliens from District 9 I just noticed. Huh, look at that. Learn something new every day. There is a small force of Scrambled by Banelings and Zerglings with the Infestor backup, but once these siege tanks siege up, it's going to be game over. They're going to be pushed back home. My scan is going to go ahead and reveal exactly where the forces of Scrambled are, while Apathy is going to go ahead and push forward. He doesn't want to get too greedy. He wants to just get a nice slow push, especially with the small amount of siege tanks he has. He doesn't want to push too far forward and get caught out of position with these siege tanks and just lose the whole bit, and it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. He's pushing way too forward. He's out of the line of fire from these siege tanks in the back. Scrambled sees as he pushes and he decides to pull back, but notices that there is no fire coming in from the siege tank. 2 siege tanks does go down for minimal losses on his part, so not huge misstep by Apathy. Manages to lose half of his siege tanks, so that was a pretty big blow for him, while at the same time Scrambled is just reinforcing his army, swelling himself up nice and tight. And again, these siege tanks are completely cut off from these Marines. Zerglings make short work of them. The Banelings do get put down, get into the lines of Marines, while infested Terrans are going to go ahead and try to finish off these medevacs, but no, not quite yet. I would love to see some fungal growths being put down on those medevacs to lock them into place to be able to be taken out by those infested Marines, but not everyone is perfect. This looks like this base is up and running in full gear, in full swing, and 3-3 is being researched by Apathy. And back home in Scrambled base, I would like to see where his he only has a +2 damage upgrade, and he does have 2 evolution chambers, but decided he's not making use of them quite just yet. He finally does put down the little carapace, so level 1 is being researched, and level 3 attack is going to be done in a few seconds. So this is going to make these Zerglings that much more damaging. And looks like there's gonna be another little push. Apathy is scanning for to make sure exactly where that siege tank is being sieged up, while small forces Marines are being put down. A nice little spread by Apathy. He still doesn't want to push too far forward. Doesn't want to get caught by those fungal growths. Those fungal growths do put down. The Banelings do get pushed into the Marines, and the Marines are decimated. Once damage is done, infestors burrow and head home. So that's exactly what you don't want to do with, especially with these kind of movements. These siege tanks are slow. It is nice to be able to push forward nice and slow, but if you get caught up out of position from those Marines, you're going to suffer terrible damage and terrible losses by those Banelings. And right now it looks like neither player is really macroing up quite yet. They're both taking their goals, so they're pretty even on bases. Their income tab, the harvesters are about where you want to see them, about 80 for Zerg, 60 for Terran, but those mules do count for something. It looks like an infestor was caught off guard, and it looks like there's another huge surround on those Marines. They're going to be lifted up and picked up by those medevacs, but there is no hope for those siege tank fungal growth on those medevacs. Infested Terrans are being put down, and they're going to make short work of these medevacs, so those medevacs had no chance whatsoever. That was a nice win by Scrambled, cleaning up the entire force for minimal losses on his own. There is a nice wall by Scrambled here on these overlords, so he's going to know if there's going to be any kind of sneaky drops coming his way. As scans are revealing exactly where Scrambled's forces are, but they're in the middle of the map. No question about where they're at. He's going to decide to push forward right now. It looks like there was a nice run on these siege tanks, but there was just too much damage being done by these Marines and these siege tanks, and wow, that was the first, I would say that was the first huge mistake right now for Scramble. But looking at the food count, he might have actually done that on purpose. He sacked those Zerglings to be able to bring those Ultralisks up front. So nice little trade-off, I would say, especially if he is getting level 2 Carapace and level 3 weapons. So these Ultralisks are going to be very powerful, especially if these siege tanks, they finally do have +1 attack. But once those Ultralisks get into that Marine line, it's going to be very dangerous for Apathy. Right now in the units tab, we actually see 30 Zerglings, 7 Ultralisks, 8 Infestors. So this is a nice mixture of units, especially if Fungals can be put down quite nicely. Scrambled is scanned, so those Ultralisks have been revealed, and Apathy is in a world of hurt, especially if this is the only units that he has. He is sensing that, decides to pull back, fortify his defenses a little bit more, while at the same time getting his 5th base. And right now it doesn't look like Scrambled is in too much of a hurry. He's still just macroing up, getting the units at exactly unit composition that he wants. He is maxed out, while for food count for Apathy is at 165. There is a drop going on. Apathy does manage to lose that Ultralisk cabinet, catches him completely off guard. Apathy is doing the right thing right now. He doesn't have the units he wants to be able to face up against these Ultralisks, so he's just going to go ahead and harass, attack where the enemy isn't. He's just going to do these little poking attacks, just buy himself time to be able to get as many siege tanks up as possible, and more than likely wants to get down some Marauders as soon as possible as well to be able to deal with these Ultralisks. Marauders in numbers are pretty good up against Ultralisks, but right now it looks like he is just putting up his siege tanks just to get his defenses up, and he's continuing that harassment. Scrambled is scrambling for defenses right now, but it looks like this, that Spine Crawler is cooking down. If he's not careful, he's going to lose a queen. The main forces of Scrambled are being pulled back, and the Ultralisks are going to arrive to be able to push these Marines back. But again, more than likely, as soon as those Ultralisks show up, after he's going to pick up and head home. And this is just a stalling tactic. If you ever feel behind, and if you ever see something that your opponent has and you're just like, there is no way I can deal with this right now, harass, do drops of any kind. If you're a Zerg player, Nidus, Mutalisk, harass, Terran, you do exactly what you're doing with those medevac drops. As a Protoss, do Warp Prism, harass. If you have DTs up, do that. Hallucinated attacks also work pretty great if you feel you need to do that. And looks like burrowed infestors are going to be put down. Mass infested Terrans are put down to be able to tank some of that shell damage from those Ultralights are going to be put into attack. Apathy is doing his best to micro away from the damage, and these siege tanks are just doing too much damage. And there's only 3 Ultralisks left for Scrambled, and wow. And he unsieges at exactly the wrong moment, but still there is just too many siege tanks to be able to deal with those Ultralisks. So there you go. Scrambled, man, his window of opportunity closed quite quickly, especially since he was dealing with that harass. So that it just goes to show you the power of the harass. Keep your opponent on your toes, and that is exactly what's going to happen. Zerg is essentially broke, while Apathy is sitting on nice stockpile of minerals. In the units lost tab, we see double for the Zerg player, and about 8,000 more minerals and a gas lost for Zerg player as well. And right now, Apathy is just sitting pretty. He's going to just try to wall off his planetary fortress and just going to macro up as usual. In the production tab, we don't see anything else except that Zerg ground carapace level 3 is being researched. But other than that, nothing else, and looks like Scrambled is just going to go ahead and push forward with these Ultralisks, with this Ultralisk force. There is a few Banelings in there to try to deal with some of the Marines, but right now that is just a huge clump. I would actually like to see him just split his forces up to attack from a 2-pronged attack, but it looks like there might be more than enough. These 3 Ultralists are going to push forward, take on this single siege tank. He doesn't want to follow these Marines up yet because they will be able to micro 4 days. He's going to try to take out that gold expansion, but at the same time, Apathy is just pushing, pulling back, doing the right thing up against these Ultralists. He's microing perfectly while the siege tanks just continue to pummel these Ultralists from a distance. They do manage to take down that gold expansion, but there is nothing to stop these Marine forests. There's this great micro and great control by Apathy, just leading the siege tanks pummel from a distance while splitting off a squad of Marines to just sack them and just slow down those Ultralists. And Scrambled is actually in a world of hurt. Both players are pretty much used up all their minerals, but right now the greater composition does favor Apathy. There are Lings and Banelings, which is great up against Marines, but with these siege tanks here, not quite so much. Generally, that's why the Zerg players go Mutalists, to be able to deal with those siege tanks. And again, Apathy's just continuing the harassment. I mean, why not? It worked so well for him before, and he's just going to use that to control the entire middle of the map. Marauders are finally on the field of play. Actually a nice squad of Marauders. So Marine Marauder siege tank for the Terran player, and he's just going to go ahead and continue the slow push forward while leaving these medevacs here just to harass whenever he feels like it. And there it is. There's going to be another little bit of a drop. Going to do quite a bit of one drone go down, two drones go down, and force that pull off. A third does manage to die before the Zergling forces of Scrambled are being pushed forward. Another Ultralisk does pop, but that's okay after he just picks up his units and goes home. And while that's happening, he's just going to go ahead and push forward deeper and deeper into base Zerg. So Scrambled is up against the wall right now. If he decides to push forward with these links, he'll just go ahead and do a drop right over here. And man, that is just a bad place for Scramble. He's just going to need to go all in pretty much essentially pretty soon. Remember that food count I was talking about earlier? Right now it looks like it is evened up. They're both maxed out armies, and that is exactly the power of the harass. I mean, I can't love harassments enough. I just really can't. Right now, wow, look at that. 1, 2, 3 mining bases for Zerg, while Terran has, I would say 2 mining bases. There is a huge attack going down. It looks like Scrambled is putting everything on the table, but these siege tank placements is just too great. They're not bunched up and easy pickings. Those Ultralists were just easy pickings, huge carcasses. There is nothing that Scrambled has. He does have a few Zerglings, managed to do a couple of damage here, some damage there, but there is just nothing left on the field of play. 4 Zerg Ultralists are being put down with, well, about 30 more Zerglings are being produced, but this army is just too great. Scrambled senses that, and he leaves the game. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If not, leave a comment down below on what I could do to make these more enjoyable for you. If there's also a replay you would like for me to do of your own game, upload them to one of the major replay sites, and I'll do what I can. Other than that, I'm gonna get on out of here. Yeah, I'm gonna get on out of here.